The breaking point. Ambassador Elena Reyes took a deep breath as she entered the grand chamber of the Galactic Confederacy. The massive dome ceiling sparkled with artificial stars, a constant reminder of the vastness they all shared. Around the circular table sat representatives from 23 spacefaring civilizations, most having explored the stars for millennia before humans had even invented the wheel. The human delegation will now present their petition, announced High Arbiter Xolm, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. A gesture Elena had learned indicated boredom among the Vriscan species. High Arbiter, esteemed representatives, Elena began, her voice steady despite the tension knotting her stomach. For the 8th time, the United Earth Coalition brings forward our petition for equal mining rights in the Ta Ceti system. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Draxians, with their translucent blue skin, didn't bother hiding their amusement. The Kelveri representative fluttered her wing membranes in what Elena recognized as dismissive irritation. Ambassador Reyes, said Marvox of the Centauri Dominion, "We've explained repeatedly that the silicate deposits in Ta Ceti require handling protocols beyond human technological capabilities. Your species simply lacks the necessary experience to." With respect, Representative Marvox, Elena interrupted, something almost unheard of in these chambers. Humanity has developed new extraction methods that exceed Confederacy safety protocols by 23%. We shared these specifications in our proposal. "Yes, theoretical specifications," said Trillax, the insectoid hive-mind ambassador. "But humans have a history of overpromising and underdelivering." Elena felt Captain Sarah Chen stiffen beside her. For 3 years, they'd come to these meetings. For 3 years, they'd been patronized, dismissed, and treated like precocious children who should be grateful for whatever scraps the Confederacy offered. "Perhaps," continued Trillax, mandibles clicking softly, "we could consider allowing supervised human operations on one of the smaller moons, with oversight from Draxian engineers." Elena looked down at her datapad, where a simple message from Earth Command had just appeared. "Piorotosi goel enduromida authorized." She exchanged a quick glance with Captain Chen, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. "Thank you, Ambassador Trillax, for your generous offer," Elena said, her voice suddenly calm in a way that made several of the more perceptive species straighten in their seats. "But the United Earth Coalition must respectfully decline." High Arbiter Xolm's upper eyes blinked rapidly. "You decline the compromise? Then why bring the petition at all?" "To give you one final opportunity to recognize humanity as equals," Elena said, closing her datapad with a soft click. "For nearly 30 years, humanity has contributed to the Confederacy. Our medical techniques have improved lifespans across 12 species. Our music is played in every corner of Confederate space. Our agricultural methods feed billions on worlds where famine once reigned. And the Confederacy has granted you protection, technology, access to the Jumpgate network," countered Marvox. "Humanity would still be trapped in your own solar system without our guidance." Elena smiled, not the diplomatic smile she'd worn for years, but something different that made even the predatory Valkyrie uncomfortable. "The United Earth Coalition hereby gives formal notice of our withdrawal from the Galactic Confederacy, effective immediately." The chamber erupted. Some representatives shouted, others jumped to their feet, and a few simply stared in disbelief. "This is absurd," High Arbiter Xolm bellowed over the chaos. "No species has ever withdrawn. The economic consequences alone would devastate your worlds." "Our decision is made," Elena replied, standing taller. "All human ships are already returning to Earth-controlled space. Our Jumpgate access codes have been changed. Confederate vessels in human territory have 6 standard days to depart. You cannot survive alone," hissed Katal of the Draxian Imperium. "Within a year, you'll be begging to return." "Perhaps," Elena said quietly. "But I don't think so. We've prepared for this day for a long time." As the human delegation turned to leave, Elder Joran of the Ancient Meridian Collective, who rarely spoke at these gatherings, raised a withered hand. The chamber quieted. Ambassador Reyes, the ancient being said, voice like rustling leaves, "There is wisdom in caution. The galaxy can be unforgiving to solitary species." Alina paused at the exit. "We know, Elder Joran. That's why we've never been truly alone." The cryptic response left the chamber in confused silence as the humans departed. 6 weeks later, the first cracks appeared in the Confederacy's dismissal of the human withdrawal. On the manufacturing world of Draxus Prime, production lines ground to a halt. "What do you mean we're out of biocircuitry components?" demanded Overseer Kavax, his blue skin darkening to indigo in anger. "The human suppliers. They're gone," the foreman explained. "The replacement parts from Centauri are incompatible with our systems." Similar scenes play out across Confederate space. Hospitals discovered their stocks of crucial human-developed medicines dwindling. Agricultural worlds that had adapted Earth crops found themselves without the specialized fertilizers only humans produced. Trade routes that had relied on human navigators reported increased pirate activity. On Confederacy Central, the High Council convened an emergency session. "It's been 42 days, announced High Arbiter Xol. "The humans have made no contact. Our diplomatic overtures go unanswered." "They'll break soon," Ketal insisted. "They must." "I'm not certain," said Elder Joran, studying economic projections that scrolled across his ancient eyes. "Human space has gone dark to our sensors, but we've detected increased activity along their borders. They appear to be building something." "Whatever they're building doesn't matter," Marvox said dismissively. "Without access to Confederate technology and markets, their economy will collapse within months." Trillax chittered nervously. "Perhaps we underestimated them. My analysts have compiled a list of critical resources and technologies the humans provided. The projections are concerning." "They need us more than we need them," Ketal insisted. "This tantrum will end soon enough." But on the fringes of Confederate space, rumors spread of human ships venturing into uncharted regions, of new alliances being formed with non-Confederate species, of technological breakthroughs that should have been impossible. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching as the newly completed defensive array came online around Earth's moon. Similar installations now protected every human world and colony. "Impressive, isn't it?" said Admiral Jackson, joining her at the viewport. "Something we could have built years ago if the Confederacy hadn't restricted our military development." "Do you think they understand yet what they've done?" Chen asked. The Admiral smiled grimly. "They're beginning to. The question is whether they'll realize it before it's too late, for us all." Because beyond the edges of charted space, something was stirring. Something ancient and hungry that the Confederacy, in all its arrogance, had never prepared for. Something humanity had discovered years ago and had been quietly preparing to face, alone if necessary. The communications officer turned from her station. "Captain, we're receiving reports from our deep space outposts. The Void Harvesters have increased their activity. They'll reach Confederate space within 8 months." "And Earth?" Admiral Jackson asked quietly. 5 months, sir. The evacuation plans are on schedule, but the shield network is only at 60% capacity." Chen's hand tightened on the railing. "So it begins. Send word to all outposts. Protocol Orpheus is now active." As the orders went out, Shen couldn't help wondering if the Confederacy would even notice humanity's preparations until the darkness was already upon them all. The reckoning. The Galactic Confederacy Central Plaza, once the vibrant heart of interstellar cooperation, had fallen eerily quiet. 6 months after humanity's withdrawal, the effects rippled through every aspect of Confederate society. Supply shortages had become commonplace. Trade vessels traveled in armed convoys to protect against the surge in piracy. Medical facilities rationed treatments that once flowed freely from human laboratories. High Arbiter Xol moved wearily through the council chambers where an emergency session had been called. The past months had aged him visibly. his once bright scales now dull and ashen. "The situation is deteriorating faster than projected," reported Marvox, all previous arrogance gone from his voice. 17 outer colonies are reporting critical supply shortages. The Draxian manufacturing sector has contracted by 38%. 3 minor species have submitted formal inquiries about withdrawal procedures. "And the humans?" asked Elder Joran. Trillax chittered nervously. "Our intelligence is limited. They've established some form of energy barrier around their territory that our scanning technology cannot penetrate. However, refugee reports suggest they are thriving." Kitalt slammed a fist on the table. "Impossible. Without Confederate resources." "They never needed our resources," interrupted a new voice. All heads turned to see Ambassador Kelveri of the Meridian Collective enter the chamber. "My people have maintained cultural exchanges with humans outside of Confederate channels. What we've learned is humbling." Kelveri activated a holographic display showing images smuggled from human space, massive orbital constructions, fleets of ships unlike any Confederate design, and prosperous colonies expanding rapidly. "They were never dependent on us," Kelveri continued. "They maintained the appearance of technological limitation while developing in secret. Why? Because they studied our history and saw how the Confederacy absorbs and controls species deemed too powerful." Stunned silence filled the chamber. "Why reveal this now?" Solon finally asked. "Because we face a greater threat," Kelveri said gravely. "Our deep space observatories have detected something approaching from the galactic rim. Something vast." Admiral Helena Reyes, formerly Ambassador Reyes, stood on the observation deck of Humanity's Hope, Earth's largest space station. Below, the planet gleamed blue and green, surrounded by the shimmering barrier of the planetary defense shield, now at 94% capacity. "Admiral, the Sentinel probes have confirmed acceleration in the Harvester's approach," reported Captain Chen. "New estimated arrival, 63 days. Reyes nodded grimly. "And our preparations? The evacuation of non-essential personnel from outer colonies is complete. The Artemis fleet is at full strength. The Orpheus Protocol has entered its final phase. For decades, humanity had known this moment would come. Long-range explorers had encountered the remnants of civilizations destroyed by the entities they called void harvesters, ancient, incomprehensible beings that consumed all energy in their path, leaving only lifeless husks behind. When humans brought this evidence to the Confederacy 20 years ago, they were patronized, their warnings filed away and forgotten. That was when Earth realized they truly stood alone. "Incoming transmission, Admiral," announced the communications officer. "It's from Confederate Central." Reyes raised an eyebrow. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered to life, showing High Arbiter Xoln, flanked by the full Confederacy Council. "Admiral Reyes," Solon began, his voice lacking its former condescension. "The Confederacy requests immediate consultation regarding the approaching anomalies from the galactic rim." "You mean the void harvesters," Reyes replied coolly. "The threat we warned you about 20 years ago." Uncomfortable glances passed between the council members. "Yes," Solon admitted. "Our deep space observatories only recently confirmed their existence and trajectory. Our models suggest they will reach Confederate space in 63 days. Reyes finished for him. "We know." Elder Joran leaned forward. "Admiral, we understand now that there has been misunderstanding between our peoples, but this threat concerns us all. The Confederacy formally requests humanity's assistance and knowledge regarding these entities." Reyes studied the alien faces carefully. "And what does humanity receive in exchange?" "Full and equal membership in the Confederacy," Solon said quickly. "Access to all technologies, resources, and rights." A bitter smile touched Reyes' lips. "The same offer you should have made years ago, now made only because you need us. It is regrettably true that we underestimated humanity," Elder Joran acknowledged. "Both your capabilities and your wisdom. But surely we can move beyond past grievances when all life in the galaxy is threatened. Reyes turned to Captain Chen, who nodded slightly. The United Earth Coalition will share our knowledge of the Void Harvesters, Reyes said finally, but not as supplicants returning to the Confederacy, as equals forming a new alliance. 3 weeks later, representatives from all Confederate species gathered on humanity's Hope Station. Many were seeing true human technology for the first time, their expressions mixing awe and unease as they realized how thoroughly they had underestimated this young species. In the Grand Conference Hall, Admiral Reyes revealed the full Orpheus Protocol, humanity's comprehensive plan to counter the Void Harvesters, developed over 2 decades of secret preparation. The Harvesters cannot be destroyed by conventional means, she explained, showing simulations of the massive, shadow-like entities consuming entire star systems. They exist partially in another dimension, which is why your sensors couldn't detect them until they began phasing into our reality. How did humans discover them when our more advanced scanning technology could not? Demanded Katal, still struggling with his species' wounded pride. Dr. Elizambiki, Earth's leading genophysicist, stepped forward. Because we weren't looking for what we expected to find. The Confederacy's technological development has been remarkably linear for millennia. Humanity took different paths, sometimes less efficient ones, but they led to unexpected discoveries. The aliens watched in silence as humans detailed their plans. Massive quantum disruptors to force the Harvesters fully into normal space, where they could be vulnerable, specialized shields that could resist their energy-draining effects, and evacuation protocols for worlds that couldn't be saved. We've spent 20 years building this defense network around human space, Reyes concluded. We can expand it to protect key Confederate worlds, but not all. Choices must be made. Why? Asked Elder Joran softly. Why prepare to defend those who dismissed you? Captain Chen answered, her voice steady. Because that's what humans do. We may walk away when disrespected, but we don't abandon others to destruction, even those who never valued us. In that moment, many of the alien representatives began to understand that they had misinterpreted humanity's defining characteristic. It wasn't the technology or adaptability that made humans unique in the galaxy. It was their stubborn refusal to accept the impossible. The battle against the Void Harvesters raged for 3 terrible months. 5 Confederate worlds were lost despite humanity's preparations, but where the Harvesters had previously consumed entire civilizations, the combined forces held the line, pushed back, and eventually forced the ancient entities into retreat. 1 year after humanity walked away from the Confederacy, a new alliance was formalized. The Galactic Coalition, where all species stood as equals. The former High Arbiter Xoln, now serving as a regular representative, approached Admiral Reyes at the signing ceremony. I must know, he said quietly. If we hadn't reached out about the Harvesters, would humanity have warned us? Reyes smiled enigmatically. We already had. Those pirate attacks troubling your outer colonies after our withdrawal. Those weren't pirates. They were human special forces, planting phase disruptors on your worlds, giving you a fighting chance even if you never asked for our help. Soln's scales paled in shock. Then even as we dismissed you, we were protecting you. Reyes finished. That's the thing about humans that the Confederacy never understood. We don't need to be the strongest or the most advanced. We just need to be underestimated, just once, by those who think they have us figured out. As the signing ceremony concluded, Captain Chen joined her admiral at the viewport, gazing out at the combined fleet of human and alien vessels. Do you think they understand us now? Chen asked. Reyes chuckled. Probably not entirely. But they're learning that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our stubbornness. What is it then? Our capacity to change the rules when the game is rigged against us, Reyes said, watching as the ships formed a ceremonial pattern against the stars. And our willingness to forgive those who never thought we were worth listening to in the first place. Behind them, the representatives of 24 spacefaring civilizations, now equals in name and truth, began the work of building something new together, something stronger than what had come before. Because they had finally learned what the Void Harvesters discovered too late. Never underestimate humanity. The end.